Thank you, Richard. Oh, well, all that we need comes to us. Good morning, everyone. I see some people popped on as we were singing. Good morning, Lisa and Sarah, Michael and Jason. Nice to see you on this beautiful Sunday. It's a little overcast here, but I like that. I would like to welcome our practitioner of the day, Leslie Massapus. She's going to do an opening prayer for us and then have a quote. So welcome, Leslie.
Okay, thank you. Let's all take a deep breath as we join together in consciousness. And what we know is that we are grateful. We are grateful for this opportunity to come together and hear this lesson this morning. For we know that we were all spiritually guided to be here in this community of wonderful people who are learning and practicing and following this philosophy called the science of mind. And we know what we hear today is just absolutely perfect. And it is absolutely wonderfully given in such a way that we can understand it and be able to use it in our lives. For we know that this is Spirit's gift to us. So we gladly open our hearts and open our minds to this experience here today, knowing that it is an opportunity that we are not to miss. And we are thankful for this information ahead of time. So we let it go, let it be, we enjoy it, and I say, and so it is. The quote I picked today is from Deepak Chopra, and it has to do with the topic that we're talking about. It says the best way to get rid of the pain is to feel the pain. And when you feel the pain and go beyond it, you'll see there's a very intense love that is wanting to awaken itself. So in light of what it says there, and thinking about maybe a painful situation we could be going through right now, and the love that may come out of it, let us join together in our silence. Let us now come back into our world of reality. And we will be doing the affirmation for June. I am one with perfect action. The harmonious action of the great whole operates through me at all times. There is nothing in me that can hinder this action from flowing through me. The action of God is the only action. Richard, I know that you have a song for us.
Okay, Michelle.
I've got it up. Did you want to give any kind of an introduction to it, Richard?
Well, basically, this song has to do with kind of what we leave behind when we leave the planet. What kind of a world is it going to be? And what have we done to enable the light and to spread love and kindness and sensitivity to other people and where they're coming from. So that's essentially where it's coming from. It's a song by Daniel Nahman.
Thank you. And here it is.
Here's a beautiful song by Daniel Nahman called What Kind of World? What kind of world do I want to see? What kind of world do I want to leave? My children's children, now is the time to make up my mind. What kind of world is this gonna be? What kind of world will be my legacy to the generations for all humankind? It's time to decide what kind of world. Will it be peaceful? Well, am I? Will it be joyful and kind? Will it be all those things a child so easily describes? Will everybody have enough? Will we speak in the language of love? Somehow I'm suspecting it's all up to you and I to decide. What kind of world do we want to have? When will we be ready to start giving back to this precious place, to every young face? Tell every boy and girl just what kind of world. What kind of world we can have. We can make it so. Will it be peaceful? Well, am I? Well, are we? Will it be joyful and kind? Will it be all those things a child so easily describes? Will everybody have enough? Will we speak in the language of love? Somehow I'm suspecting it's all up to you and I to decide. What kind of world do we want to have? When will we be ready to start being that for this precious place to every young face? Tell every boy and girl what kind of world, what kind of world, what kind of world. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for doing that song. I love that song. Daniel Nahman writes some really beautiful music, and I asked Richard if he would play that for us. So thank you. I appreciate it, taking the time to do that for us. So welcome to One Heart, One Mind. Center for Spiritual Living. Oh, I'm going to wait until Jim gets us on our Facebook Live feed, and then I'll make the welcome. So it's great to, hello, Robin Morgan. It's great when I can't see everyone and then I come back on and I see new people have arrived. I love that. There's little boxes with everybody's smiling faces. So perfect. Well, there we go. All right. So welcome everyone to One Heart, One Mind online Sunday service. Happy June. You notice we had our new affirmation for the new month of June. The well-known Swiss psychiatrist, Carl Jung, I'm sure you know who he is, said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Can you feel the truth in that? I can really feel the truth in that, that the resources for everything you want to do, to have, and to be are already within you. It's already within each of us. You know, and I share this quote because it really gets to the heart of this June's theme. And June's theme is the soul's call. You know, one of the basic spiritual principles of the science of mind philosophy is that everything begins within. Everything begins in that deep connection that we have to God, to creation itself within us. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote, there is that within us that partakes of the, let me start that again. There is that within us that partakes of the nature of divine being. We are divine. We are divine because we're part of that. It's through our union with this divine being, this infinite universal mind that we talk about all the time, that we are empowered to personalize and use this divine nature, our nature, really. And nestled within each and every one of us are the unique gifts that we're empowered to bring forward into the world through this divine nature. And this is the soul's call. This is really what we're called to do, is connect with that inner God within us and express that in the world. You know, I was thinking about what science of mind and practicing and living this philosophy has brought me. And one of the benefits that I've received from this philosophy is a deeper understanding of who I am, a deeper understanding of myself, a deeper understanding of who I am, and a feeling of who I am, and that connection. And in that invitation, I've been able to explore all the possibilities of what I am called to bring to life myself. You know, for a very long time, I felt that I had to, and maybe this is true of you as well, I had to earn my worth and had to earn my value as a human being. You know, I've shared before that I was one of 7, and to be able to stand out in a crowd, it seemed like I had to be something and make myself into something other than I was. But that's not really the truth. Science of mind has taught me that I am inherently worthy and valuable simply because I exist. I am a divine expression of God, of spirit, of life. I belong to life. I'm an expression of the power of life. And this gift of life gives me the opportunity and also the responsibility to bring that power of life, of order, intelligence, love, the divine life into the world in my unique way. And we are all called to do the same. And we're all empowered to bring this divinity that is deep within us, that is our life, into the world to the best of our ability. You know, life, as Ernest Holmes tells us, gives to us freely and generously. It never asks for anything back, but as a part of that life, we are called to give freely and generously as well. And what that looks like is a constantly expanding and changing of idea of who we are and how we want to express that life into the world. And as we expand and change in our environment, the power of God within us is expressed in new and fresh ways. The power of spirit, the divine life within us is expressed in different ways as we learn to kind of listen to that deep call of the soul that we're talking about this month, you know, and when that happens for me, I tend to live my life more fully and to express spirit more fully and more consciously, in a more conscious way every day. You know, when we all consciously invite the divine life to guide and direct and inform our humanity, that is living from the call of the soul. The call of the soul, expressing what is already in us out into the world. You know, but if the expression of God within me and in all of us is so star-spangled awesome, then why is it that life can be so challenging at times? You know, I have to stop and ask myself that. Why are there times of discomfort and pain and even suffering as we travel through our human journey? Well, again, Ernest Holmes told us, and I have this quote actually on a slide that I'll share with you. Let's see if I can find it here. I'll have to move it along because I didn't prepare it. Here's the quote from Holmes. Holmes told us this. This is what he had to say about, even though we are an expression of God and life is an expression of the divine, when we encounter uncomfortable times, this is what he had to say about it. Surely there can be no intelligence in the universe that wishes mankind to be sick, suffer pain, be unhappy, and end in oblivion. Surely, if God or universal intelligence is imbued with goodness, then it could not ordain that mankind should ultimately be other than a perfect expression of life. Okay, Ernest, and why is it that sometimes we are uncomfortable and we do have things that don't feel so great? You know, this must mean that it isn't God ordained that we suffer, but there has to be a way that we can live, that we can learn to live as human beings to help us engage with life in a way that doesn't cause pain and suffering. But here's the thing, we don't live in la land. We know, because we're of the age we are, that life is going to bring things our way that are going to make us feel uncomfortable and will cause us some physical and emotional pain. Sometimes people get sick, and physical death is a part of life on earth. Grieving is a normal, natural human process. How then can we engage with life in a way that lets us experience life from the perspective of the divine life that Holmes refers to, rather than our human finite life? You know, as human beings, we tend to make everything in our experience more real than the divine life. You know, I know I say this all the time, but I think of this every time I say the Lord's Prayer, lead us not into temptation. To me, the temptation is to make the world of form, the world of experience, the world out there more powerful, more real than the world in here. So how do we let life be life without going into judgment or resistance of what shows up? You know, I'm going to fall back on a story that I know I've shared before. I know that I've used it before, but it's such a great metaphor to help us understand this idea of engaging with the challenges of life in a way that doesn't give them power. You know, it's from a book that I've been using for many, many years. And I've read stories out of it to you before, but it's a little book called Who Ordered This Truckload of Dung? And it's by a Buddhist monk, a teacher, a writer named Ajahn Brahm. And I found much practical wisdom in his writing. You know, he's a Buddhist, and so he is a part of the divine life, and yet he talks about living in a practical way. But anyway, I'm just going to paraphrase the story. I know it by heart. I know it so well by now. I've told it so many times. So here's the story. So imagine that you arrive home one day after a beautiful afternoon at the beach, and when you get home, you find that a huge pile of dung, stinky fertilizer, has been dumped right in front of your door. And you have no idea where it came from. You didn't order it, and you don't know who did, so you can't call someone to come and take it away. You are stuck with it, and it's filthy, and it's offensive, and it's stinking up your whole house. So the story goes that we really only have a couple of choices. We can carry little portions of the dung around with us as we go through our day, and we can dump it everywhere we go. You know, you can put it in your backpack, you can put it in your pockets, take a little away in your purse. And of course, we'll probably lose a lot of friends that way, and most people won't want us around. And this method of getting rid of the dung is a metaphor for sinking into a state of frustration or depression, of negativity and anger, lashing out at everyone around you because you got this dung in your life, and carrying that attitude with you wherever you go, and laying it on everybody else that you meet. It's not very pleasant, and you're not very pleasant. I'm not very pleasant when I do that. And it takes a long time to get rid of the dung that way, and it just keeps on getting stinkier and stinkier. I bet you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the other way of getting rid of the dung is to dig in and to do our work, to move the dung into the garden, where it will serve as fertilizer, as compost for a garden that's bursting with color and fragrance and fruit. And everyone we encounter, everyone who encounters our garden, our neighbors, the passerby, our family, they'll just smile with delight at the color and the fragrance and the fruit of the garden. Have you ever noticed that when you feel grounded in the beauty and the love and the connection with spirit deep within you, that you respond in the world with color and fragrance and fruit that everybody wants to partake of? You know, it's from our willingness to use life's pain and discomfort, to dig more deeply in the truth of our infinite being as a call to love that makes us want to serve ourselves and others. You know, when we've known pain, and I'm sure this is true for you, it's certainly true for me. When I have known pain and I've learned its lesson and I've grown from it and I've grown my garden from there, then I can put my arms around someone else who is going through something, some kind of a challenge themselves, and I can genuinely say, I know. I can say that from a place of deep sincerity. And that's where compassion begins. And it begins to express itself and bubble up in everything I do. You know, we can think of the unwanted, painful, and often unexpected experiences of life as preparing the soil of our lives from the richness of human experience. You know, I mentioned this earlier when I was talking to Richard, that I was reminded of a wonderful song by Karen Drucker that's entitled "The Call of Something More." You might have heard it, but one of the lines in her song really kind of puts its finger on the idea of engaging with life's discomforts as they come up, to allow the pain to push us into a new vision. And then the vision will pull us forward, you know, and let's see, her lyrics are, they say that Pain pushes till the vision pulls. Feels like my safety net has fallen down. I wish I had a map of where to go. I got this feeling deep inside that when I get there, I will know. And isn't that the truth? When we're there, we know, okay, I've moved past it. I can move on. And then she says several times, the line says, what am I here for? What am I here for? We can use these uncomfortable, painful, challenging situations to let us dig deeper and move past the challenge into what am I here for? And how can I show up in a deeper and a more expanded way with a sense of compassion for myself and others from this rich experience that I've had? And to me, that's the best use we can make of these unexpected events we encounter in life. Let it be the soul's call to a deeper awakening of who we are and why we're here. And when we engage with those uncomfortable experiences without judge and blame and commentary, then we're free from the pain. And as soon as we judge what comes our way, we lock it into our experience. It literally becomes our prayer. You know, we know this from our exploration of the science of mind philosophy, that when we pray, we focus on a particular outcome that we'd like to have, that we'd like to experience. We take, as we move into that infinite field, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, we take those waves of potential to move into a quantum physics understanding that exists in the infinite mind of God, the infinite realm of potential, and they become the seeds that we plant into creative law. What we put our attention on becomes the seed, and that idea begins the creative process. And then, to continue with the quantum physics theme, we collapse that wave of potential into a particle, into form or experience in our lives. And the same is true when we go into judgment. When we judge something in our lives as bad or wrong or no, we're planting that seed through our attention to it. We plant it into creative law. And so when we engage with all the experience in our lives without judgment, without blame, without laying the commentary of our story on top of it, we're able to experience all of it, all that comes our way, and be enriched by the experience without making that experience a permanent part of our lives. You know, we just get the good stuff that way, just recognizing the discomfort and the pain and having it push us forward into a greater life that begins to pull us into the new vision. And then we release the barriers into that greater yet to be. You know, and there are several things that we can do to help us greet life as it comes without resistance. One of the most effective things that I've found is to be able to let go of the old resentments, stories, pain from the past, is without looking at it through the lens of those past experiences, without looking at everything that comes my way through the lens of the pain that I've experienced in the past, is remember that story that I shared with you a while ago, Michael Singer's story about the thorn? He gave this whole wonderful story about how sometimes we'll get a thorn in us somewhere and it's painful, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that nothing touches the thorn. You know, we create an entire life around avoiding anything or anyone touching our thorn. When in reality, the best thing to do is just to pull that stinking thing right out of there. You know, we don't have to try and avoid the pain. We can move into it. We can experience it, and we can let it go. We can pull the thorn out. So I was reading in preparation for today's message. I was reading a story in Mark Nepo's book, The 7,000 Ways to Listen. And I ran across another story that I thought was just so beautifully written and so powerful. And I'd like to share it with you. And he did such a terrific job that I'm not going to paraphrase this one. I'm just going to read it to you. The story is called Going Back into the Fire. And here's what here's what he wrote. Liza was severely burned in a gas fire when she was 9. Her traumatic fear of the fire grew to dominate her life. If someone left a gas grill on while eating, she began to sweat. More than 30 years later, Lisa woke with the notion that she must go back into the fire in order to replace that awful life-changing moment with another. She worked with firefighters who set up a controlled fire. She wore a fire suit and walked into the flames and just stood there. At first feeling alarmed by her fear, which had enveloped her for so long. Slowly, her fear started to melt and she began to see through the intense heat. The world was waiting beyond the flames. She opened her palms and watched the tall flames curl around her fingers without being able to burn her. And as she walked out of the fire, she could feel the wall of heat part and rejoin behind her. As the coolness of simple air surrounded her again, she could feel her heart cramped so far inside her for more than 30 years begin to relax, even expand. For Liza, the fire was actual. For many of us, our pain is real enough, but the fire is often a wound or fear that keeps burning us up. This is why we need a controlled fire to go back into without getting hurt. It is difficult to listen to life, each other, or the voice of spirit if everything is muffled and distorted through the constant flames of pain and fear. Oh, I just think that's brilliant. To revisit the pain, to tell ourselves something new about it. We can revisit our old wounds, our resentments, our error thinking in a safe way that allows us to move through our fear. We can do this with a therapist, a practitioner, or just on our own as we arrive in that deep connection of the God center that's within us, that authentic self. You know, I often say the line that was written by John Gray. You know, you probably know who he is. He's the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And he said that what you can feel, you can heal. If we never feel the thorn, we'll never be able to pull it out. If we never let ourselves walk through the fire, we won't know the power that lies just beyond the flames. We have to face it and feel it, not blame or judge or tell a story about it, and let it go. Here's where we can use the power of forgiveness as a tool to move us from fear, pain, if you will, into love, which is possibility. And honestly, there are so many different spiritual practices that we teach that can help us move beyond the barriers that we've placed for ourselves because we never wanted to touch the thorn or feel the fire. And our call, the call of our soul, wants us to feel it and move past it so that we can move into something greater. You know, there's a tool that I've been using a lot lately. It's very, very simple and very easy to do. And you all might use something that's very similar in your own lives, but I want to share it with you. It's from the Heart Math Institute, and it's called Quick Coherence Technique. You know, and I've shared with you a couple of times in our online gatherings, I don't know if it was in a Sunday service, but maybe, that in 1991, a doctor named Dr. Amour, which is kind of cool because it means love in French, made the discovery that the heart contains 40,000 what he called sensory neurites. And these sensory neurites are exactly like brain cells, and they function in the same way. They think, they feel, they remember, just like brain cells, just like brain neurons, but they function completely independently of the brain. And research has shown that when the heart's sensory neurites and our brain cells, our brain neurons, are in harmony, that they act as one harmonious unit. And it's called heart-brain coherence. And when this happens, it reduces our stress level. It helps us feel more calm, positive, energized, and it helps us perform at the best of our ability. It gives us access to greater creativity, instant access to our intuitive knowing, and it helps us to make decisions more quickly and more easily. So here's a technique that's offered by HeartMath to move us into that state of heart-brain coherence. So if you feel comfortable, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just follow along. So we're going to do something that's called heart-focused breathing. This is going to take like 1 minute, so it's not a long process. So I'm inviting you to focus your breathing in the area of your heart. Take a nice deep centering breath in and imagine that you're breathing right into the area of your chest, right in your chest area, your heart area. Your breath is just flowing in and out of your heart. Allow yourself to just breathe just a little slower and just a little deeper than usual. You know, often we call this kind of breathing a centering before we begin a spiritual practice. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Just breathe in to that heart. Let your breathing fill your chest and then just let it out. And now, as you're continuing the heart breathing, I'm going to invite you to activate a positive feeling. Just make a sincere attempt to activate kind of a regenerative feeling, and something like gratitude, appreciation, care for yourself or someone else, or a sense of deep compassion. I like to use compassion. I find it very expansive and inclusive. And just take a nice deep breath in. Oh, and just let that go. But did you find that helped you kind of center into a place of feeling pretty calm? You know, I've really come to believe that compassion is the optimum state for us to open up to those realms of possibilities that are available to us. We often call it the infinite field of potential, when all the waves of potential already exist. You know, compassion puts us in a very low but highly alert and intuitive brainwave state called the gamma brainwave state. I know that before we've talked about how lower brainwave states help us to access the operating system that comes from Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. When moving into a lower brainwave state helps us to get into that subjective mind, that portal to the universal subjective mind where all possibility exists. And the gamma brainwave state is a lower brainwave state, but yet it's a highly alert brainwave state. And compassion is a gateway to that gamma brainwave state. It gets us in touch with that infinite field of potential. And as I've said before, compassion is much more than just cultivating a feeling of warmth or affection. Compassion, especially in Eastern spiritual traditions, is the end result of sympathy, which just recognizes the pain of another. We send sympathy cards if someone is grieving or loss. Empathy, which recognizes that someone else is having a challenging, or ourselves, we could say, having a challenging time and feeling the pain of another. And then compassion moves us into not only recognizing and feeling the discomfort of ourselves or someone else, but it also moves us into a state that I was talking about earlier, where there is no judgment or attachment or blame or commentary about our old story, at the same time that we're holding this feeling of sympathy and empathy for another or for ourselves. And as we do that, we open the door to hold a greater possibility for ourselves or someone else. We create a greater good. So compassion is a combination of moving through a challenging time or witnessing someone else move through it, and at the same time, moving into the greater yet to be. Compassion is the doorway that connects us to the infinite field of potential, or as we like to call it, God. It's here that we easily kind of dwell in the goodness that's available to us, and we plant that seed into the creative law, because we're just focusing on what can be, what is yet to be from this experience. So I invite you to explore the idea of compassion this week. But what I really want to leave you with today, and I really want to invite you to explore throughout your week, is really just simply this. I want you to remember what a unique and irreplaceable gift you are to the world. I'm bringing myself to tears. You know, it's so easy to think that we don't matter on a planet with 7.8 billion other human beings walking around. But I want you to know that each of you brings to life a gift that nobody else can bring. That you are a completion of the divine whole, and the world would not be the world. It would not be the same without you. And this is not just hyperbole or just a nice thing to say on a Sunday morning. This is a universal truth. You are valuable beyond measure. Your presence and the gifts that you carry with you through your expression of the divine presence they have the potential to transform the world. It's true. You're powerful beyond measure. I love you. Please always remember who you are. And so let's move into a prayer. I invite you to take in yet another deep centering breath. And hold in your heart the presence of the divine. It's who you are. It is loving. It is expansive. It's compassion itself. It is beauty and intelligence and order and harmony and music and dance. It's everything, and it is you. So I speak my word for and about each and every person that is present on this call, and each and every person that is not on this call. I speak my word for the whole of humanity, for our divine mother herself, that we walk upon her crust every day. I speak my word for our nation, for all people and all living entities upon the face of Mother Earth and throughout the universe, that there is an opening, a shift in consciousness, a new way of being, a new way of showing up that knows who we are, that knows the power and the presence of who we have come here to be and will be infinitely. And that presence is love. And it is a contribution to the whole that magnifies and enriches the whole like no one else can. Oh, and I know that this new way of being, this new light shed into the world, magnifies and expands and explores and enriches all life, for we are all living in its loving presence. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that we recognize our own power and our own presence, which is the presence of the One. For we are in participation with the whole of life constantly. It moves us, it dances us, it sings us, it is us. Thank you, God, for this truth. Thank you, God, for this presence. So I relax into this knowing that all is well. It always has been, it always will be, it is in this present moment. And I release this prayer into creative law, and I simply let God do God's work. And we signify our agreement by saying together, and so it is. Well, I had tears, so it must have been a powerful prayer. It's always my way of knowing. Oh, so now we're going to move into yet another spiritual practice. It is the practice of sacred giving. And for our purposes here in this call, we give financially to our spiritual center. Oh, there's the quick coherence process. Oh, before I move into that though, I wanted to, if you want to HeartMath has all kinds of great trainings and exercises that you can access just by going to their website. You just go to heartmath.org, and then I've got the training site there. But they have some wonderful stuff and all kinds of resources for people, and they're free. So I really encourage you to go to their site. But back to our spiritual practice of giving, we know that there are several ways that you can give if you're giving financially to our center. You can give on Venmo, you can give on Tidely, you can send a snail mail check to Jim Massapist, who will put his address in the chat room, and then he just deposits that right into our One Heart, One Mind bank account. Oh, and if you're going to give on Venmo, look for the name Leslie Massapist. She was, until a couple of weeks ago, the president of our board of trustees, and so we used her name, but we can continue to do that. So look for that. So I invite you to imagine that you are holding your gift, your financial gift, over your heart, in your hand, and know that as you give, you receive. So the attitude, the feeling tone, the emotional presence, the quality of God that we give from is what is returned to us. And we know that all supply comes from spirit. All supply, everything, is the activity of the divine in human form. So I invite you to keep that in mind as you say the affirmation with me. I recognize that my gift is an instrument of the energy and love of God. As it flows from me, it uplifts and advances all life, including mine. I give and receive joyously. I am so grateful. And so it is. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that Rob McGregor is doing, oh wait, before we do that, Leslie, do we have any announcements? I almost forgot.
Yes, you could start off the week Monday evenings joining us in the spiritual recovery metaphysical journey through the 12 steps. And this week we are covering step number 9. And then Tuesday evenings is being led by Maureen Bishop. And Maureen, what is our topic for Tuesday evening?
Yes, I'm going to talk about the enlightened man named Ramana Maharshi. And we'll talk about some of his ideas and his lineage and Hindu practices.
Boy, what a name to remember. And
Maharshi.
then Wednesday evening is a new class that's going to be given by Reverend Michelle and Relaine Clark. And it is about the, let's see here. It's about
Spiritual principles and practices.
Spiritual principles and practice. And the basics of the science mind is where it's at. And this is where you can get those principles and learn how to use them in your life. And a reminder that your practitioners are available 24/7. And in particular, right after the service, which is now, you can request to be paired up with a practitioner to have spiritual mind treatment done. Are there any other announcements?
No, but I just did want to remind, as I said during my talk, that, you know, if you've got a thorn that needs pulling, you know, a practitioner session is a really good place to do that. And our practitioners are trained to be with you and to listen and to help teach you some spiritual practices that can help you move through any challenging situation that you're experiencing in your life.
All right. Rob McGregor, we're ready for you to give us our benediction.
And away we go. So we are going away, but at this time, it is so easy to be grateful for what has gone on today and what we have here. I am so grateful to live in a community that we know that the simple indicator of truth is how good it feels. And all I have to do is look for what feels good. And what do you know? That's what's true for me. And I am so grateful that what is better than knowing that I create my own life is that we collectively know that we create our own lives. And because we know this together, because we know this one fact and we know it collectively, we are family. And it is so wonderful to have a family here. It is so wonderful to live in the neighborhood of God where life feels good. Thank you, God, for the good feelings we have. Thank you, God, for the goodness that we experience moment by moment, day by day, life by life. Life is wonderful. Thank you, God. I release this word to the universe. I let it be. And together we say. And so
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And so we have our closing song this week is, let me get the lyrics up here. Oh, we're going to sing I Am a Light. I love this song. It just reminds us who we are and who we've come here to be. So let me get the lyrics up. And Richard, you take it away.
Okay, we'll sing it twice. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright.
Thank you, Richard. We are a light. We are all lights.
We are.
We are all lights. Oh, so would anybody like to share anything? Anybody want to share, I don't care, comments from the talk, things that you just like to share about your life? Just say hello, Richard.